vivo X200 Ultra is here, and it is an insane camera phone with 35mm and 85mm lenses, making it a perfect phone for portrait photography. The question is, how does the Galaxy S25 Ultra, the most popular Android flagship phone, holds up to it?
I am Mo, this is Tecmo, and also Tanya is now in front of under the camera, I am Mo, this is Tecmo, and Tanya is helping me behind the camera today.
I bought both of these phones with my own money. The vivo X200 Ultra is only available for the Chinese market, but you can simply buy it from Trading Shenzhen, as I did. I'll put the link in the description. The Vivo's main lens is very different from conventional flagship phones. They opted for a 35mm lens instead of the usual 24mm one. A 35mm focal length is much more natural for photography and videography. The downside is that you can't fit as much into the frame with the main lens. To give you an idea, the 35mm is around 1.4 times magnification on the S25 Ultra, but I personally prefer this focal length because you can still use the ultrawide lens on the Vivo to get a wider shot, especially since the ultrawide lens has a larger sensor and can gather a lot of light. Also, 35mm gives a more natural look in photos compared to 24mm, and I feel 24mm is a relic of the past, from when phones didn't have ultrawide lenses. I stand by that, especially in videography. I personally use my 35mm lens all the time when I want to shoot close-ups. The smaller aperture on the vivo X200 Ultra also gives you better bokeh, meaning there is more separation between your subject and the background. I don't want to overhype this, but I would love to see more companies move away from wide lenses as the main lens. That said, I get that users are used to it, so it is a bit of a hard sell to change. In low light, using the main lens, the Vivo also delivered better colors and more detail compared to Samsung. The vivo X200 Ultra has only one telephoto lens. It is an 85mm full-frame equivalent with the aperture of f2.3. We have seen a similar lens on the vivo X200 Pro, but this one is even better, with a lower aperture, which means more light gets into the sensor. The Galaxy S25 Ultra has two telephoto lenses, one at 3x and one at 5x. Frankly, I never personally use the 3x telephoto lens since the quality isn't great. The 5x telephoto lens on the Galaxy gives you a bit more range, but the 85mm lens on the Vivo is a more classic focal length for portrait photography. Also, when zooming in with the Vivo, you get more detail even at 5x zoom compared to the Galaxy, and the pictures turn out better. The color science between the two is very different though. I've noticed that Vivo leans more towards magenta, while the Galaxy tends to lean green. As a side note, Vivo has many color profiles, but the main ones are Zeiss Natural, Zeiss Vivid, Textured, and Black and White. Throughout this video, I'm using the Zeiss Natural profile since the Vivid one usually blows the highlights. The Textured profile is nice for buildings, but adds a lot of contrast. The Black and White is great for street photography, but it's not my style. Going back to zoom, both phones can do crazy levels of zoom. At more extended zoom levels like 30x, I noticed that the S25 Ultra adds more contrast and sharpens the image, while the Vivo Smooth and denoises it instead, which in the end creates a kind of a holy, dreamy effect. That smoothing creates a very nice aura and a unique style on its own. I'm pretty sure they're using some kind of generative AI for upscaling the image. The larger telephoto sensor also creates better bokeh on the Vivo compared to the Galaxy. Of course, if you want even more bokeh, you can use portrait mode on both of them to create a more artificial shallow depth of field, like I did here. Overall, they are both doing a great job for phones, but I'm sometimes stunned by the quality of the Vivo. Some pictures look like they are straight out of a real camera. By the way, I'm going to do a comparison between the Vivo and my actual camera, so subscribe to not miss that video. With the Vivo, you can also use the telephoto lens for macro photography. You can do the same with the Galaxy, but the Vivo gives you a better quality overall. For video with the telephoto lens in almost zero light, the Vivo is less noisy, but the Galaxy also does great considering the sensor size and how it processes the footage. In photos, they are closer in quality when using the telephoto lens in low light conditions. Still, in my opinion, the Vivo has better processing and produces a more natural tone. As I mentioned, the vivo X200 Ultra's main lens isn't as wide as those of conventional flagship phones. Maybe that's why they decided to go with a large sensor on the ultrawide lens to compensate. That means if you compare the ultrawide lens of the Vivo versus the Galaxy, you get much better quality on the Vivo since its sensor can gather more light. I believe Vivo currently has the largest ultrawide sensor on the market, if I'm not mistaken. For photos though, the quality of the ultrawide lens is more similar, especially if there is enough light in the scene. The processing differs slightly, with Vivo leaning warmer in tone and Galaxy having a cooler white balance. Vivo also has a mode called the street photography, which I enjoyed using a lot. You can define custom presets, but there are already some default ones available. It adds a unique style to your photos, and usually there's also a subtle artificial bokeh effect in the pictures you take with the mode. One problem Galaxy phones often suffer from is handling moving subjects. Those usually turn out a bit blurry. As you can see here, the Galaxy is more blurry in these pictures compared to the Vivo. And I really hope Samsung addresses this issue at some point, since it's a real problem when you are trying to photograph anything in motion. Both phones also support log, which is a great picture profile if you want to color grade your footage later. The Galaxy's log is a bit more limited, and I usually find it easier to color grade Vivo's log footage. I know I've said a lot of great things about the Vivo, so much that this video might sound like advertisement, but it's worth noting that all this great camera hardware comes with a cost. The large camera bump on the back. The Vivo camera bump looks cool with the Zeiss branding and coating, but I often find it a bit hard to hold the phone properly since the camera bump is heavy and pushes the phone downwards. One thing I really appreciate about the Galaxy is the anti-reflective display. It is a game changer if you spend a lot of time outside and want your screen to stay visible in daylight. I also prefer the Galaxy's flat display compared to the slightly curved one on the Vivo. The Vivo is clearly more of a photography-focused phone. For example, like Apple, it has a slider on the side for taking photos and changing settings while shooting. I actually prefer this implementation over Apple's, but it is still a bit awkward to use, and I doubt I'll keep using it once this test is over. Another advantage for Vivo is the larger battery. Thanks to the new battery technology, they were able to fit a 6000 mAh battery inside without increasing the weight significantly, compared to the 5000 mAh battery on the S25 Ultra. And since both phones use the same Snapdragon 8 Elite, the Vivo will likely deliver 15 to 20% better battery life than the Samsung. Also a note for anyone thinking about buying the vivo X200 Ultra, I bought both phones myself, the Vivo from Trading Shenzhen and the Samsung directly from Samsung. The vivo X200 Ultra is only available in China, and if you want to import it, I'll include a link in the description for you. Banking apps work here in Europe, and all important 4G and 5G bands are supported, but you can check Trading Shenzhen's website to confirm compatibility in your own country. All Google Play apps work too. Just a couple of things to keep in mind. One, eSIM doesn't work unless you also have a physical SIM card, and two, even if you switch the operating system to another language, you will still see some occasional Chinese characters. I bought the phone about 10 days ago and I received it today without any issues. It currently costs around 1,000 euro. Again, this is not a sponsored segment and I paid for the phone. All in all, should you go through the trouble of importing the vivo X200 Ultra instead of getting the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra? The Vivo has a better camera and that's not debatable. It outperforms Samsung in every category I tested. It also has a larger battery. On the other hand, the Galaxy gives you the S Pen, an anti-reflective display, and it is much more widely available. My suggestion is that if you're into novelty and want a unique camera phone, go ahead and get the Vivo X200 Ultra. You won't find anything better at such an insane price. But if you are more risk-averse like me sometimes, the Galaxy S25 Ultra still takes great pictures and videos. And you'll get better support from Samsung in most parts of the world. If you enjoyed this video, check out my comparison of the best 4 camera phones next. Thanks for tuning into Tecmo, and I will see you in the next one.